Okay, so let's get into this. Disney is suing YouTube.
Yeah.
That sentence alone, it just feels like a massive shift, doesn't it, in the whole media world?
It really does. Forget, David and Goliath. This feels different.
Yeah, more like two giants sort of squaring off. So our deep dive today, we really want to focus on the why. Why this lawsuit now? What are the underlying tensions here?
Between these huge entertainment and digital players.
Right. And maybe most importantly, what could it all mean for you watching stuff online?
Good question.
We've been looking at the news and especially the reactions over on YouTube itself, actually, from Clownfish TV.
Ah, right. They're creators, so they're watching this from the inside almost.
Exactly. Observing these industry tremors firsthand, and their take is based on reports from like the LA Times and Variety.
And what really jumps out is just how direct this whole thing is. You've got Disney, the name in traditional media, taking on YouTube, the platform that just completely rewrote the rules for video.
Yeah.
And the fact that creators, like the ones at Clownfish TV, are digging into this so much, well, it tells you a lot about the power shifts happening.
It really does. Okay, so let's dive into the specifics. The lawsuit itself. Disney isn't just suing YouTube, the platform.
No, they're also going after an individual, Justin Connelly.
Who used to be a big deal at Disney, right? President of platform distribution.
A very key role, yeah. Overseeing how all their content, Disney Plus linear, how it got out there.
And now he's jumped ship to YouTube.
Landed as the global head of media and sports over at YouTube. Big move.
And that's the core of the lawsuit, right?
Absolutely. Disney's hitting them with breach of contract, interference with a contractual relationship, and unfair competition. Pretty standard stuff in these situations, legally speaking, but the context is...
And the argument is all about his contract.
Yeah. They say he signed a 3-year deal back in November 2024.
Okay.
Which wouldn't be up until March 2027. So by joining YouTube now...
Disney's saying that's a direct violation. Simple as that.
Pretty much. And they want to stop it.
They're not just after damages. They want, an injunction?
Exactly. They want a court order to actually block YouTube from hiring.
Wow. That's playing hardball.
It really shows how much Disney values what Connelly knows, his insider knowledge.
Right, because his job wasn't just general distribution.
No, he was deep in the weeds on third-party media sales for Disney, plus for their TV channels, plus all those content sales deals, entertainment and sports. Crucial stuff.
Okay, but here's the part that really stood out to me from the reports.
What's that?
Connelly was apparently also the guy leading Disney's negotiations with YouTube.
Oh, with YouTube. For renewing their licensing deals.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of see Disney's perspective there, can't you?
Definitely. It looks, awkward at best.
Yeah.
Problematic.
To have your lead negotiator suddenly switch to the other side of the table mid-deal.
Yeah. Disney's arguing it would be extremely prejudicial. You can imagine why.
Okay, so connecting this specific lawsuit to the bigger picture.
Right. It really shines a light on how intense the streaming competition has become. Mm-hmm. The Clownfish TV guys pointed out, and it makes sense, that Disney Plus, especially if you bundle in Hulu, is now basically a direct competitor to YouTube, especially with live TV.
Right. Hulu plus live TV versus YouTube TV, head to head.
Exactly. And it sounds like even the court documents are reflecting this new reality.
How so?
Reports suggest the filings now frame YouTube as the most watched streaming service.
Wow. Ahead of Disney.
Ahead of Disney, which includes Hulu in their count, apparently. Then others like Fox, Netflix further down.
That really flips the script, doesn't it? For years, it was all about Netflix.
Totally. Netflix versus legacy media playing catch-up. But now, YouTube's sheer audience size, it's becoming impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
And Connelly's move, it looks like a classic case of, poaching top talent.
Someone with deep, deep knowledge of Disney's playbook.
Especially in streaming. And importantly, sport. Highly sensitive areas right now.
Which ties right into that other big trend, this push into live sports streaming.
We're seeing Netflix dip its toes in, Amazon's been doing it, and YouTube clearly wants a bigger piece of that pie.
And that puts them directly against Disney's crown jewel, ESPN.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So getting someone like Connelly with his sports distribution experience, that's gold for YouTube.
This whole situation also brings up that bit of history Clownfish TV mentioned.
Oh, the Maker Studios thing.
No, even before that. Apparently Disney actually tried to buy YouTube way back.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Like 10, 11 years ago?
Yeah. But the story goes they just couldn't afford it or wouldn't pay the price.
Interesting. So instead
they bought Maker Studios, remember them?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Big multi-channel network, right? MCN. Had loads of big YouTubers.
Exactly. Cost them something like $675 million. Huge money at the time.
And it included people like PewDiePie, Markiplier, massive names.
Right. And the thinking was, okay, if we can't buy the platform,
we'll buy a huge chunk of the talent on the platform.
Yeah, get influence within the YouTube world that way. Sort of understand it by proxy.
Makes sense on paper. But how did that actually play out?
Well, according to the Clownfish guys, not well. It sounds like Disney just fundamentally didn't get it.
Didn't get the content. Or the creators.
Both, it seems. The whole PewDiePie controversy was maybe a symptom of that deeper culture clash.
Right, trying to fit that kind of independent, sometimes edgy YouTube style into the Disney corporate structure.
Yeah, like oil and water. And apparently the creators within Maker didn't have a great time either.
Communication issues, lack of support.
Sounds like it. Poor communication, Disney not really understanding their world, and eventually the whole thing just got shut down.
Wow. So fast forward a decade or so.
And now YouTube is seen as poaching top executive talent from Disney.
Irony's pretty thick there, a total reversal.
It really is. And you look at the numbers now for YouTube, they're just staggering.
That stat you mentioned earlier, 12% of all U.S. TV viewing in March.
Yeah, overtaking Netflix in that metric. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about YouTube's origins.
It really shows how it's evolved beyond just, cat videos and vlogs, though there's still plenty of that.
Oh, for sure. But it's a major destination now, and the revenue reflects that too, right?
Hugely. Estimated $54.2 billion last year. That apparently makes them the second biggest media company revenue.
Behind who? Disney?
Behind Disney, yeah. So neck and neck in many ways.
Which brings us to another really interesting point from that Clownfish TV discussion.
Mm-hmm.
This idea that maybe YouTube's algorithm is shifting.
Shifting how?
The feeling, at least among some creators they talked about, is that it may be starting to favor more like corporate or professionally produced content.
Over the independent creators.
Potentially, yeah. That's the perception anyway.
That's a really critical point.
Yeah.
YouTube's magic has always been that mix, right? User-generated stuff alongside professional channels. Yeah. But if there's a perception or a reality that they're pushing the more professional stuff, well, you can see why.
Advertisers, maybe. Brand safety.
Probably key factors. More predictable revenue, easier for big brands to advertise against, maybe.
But it could really change the platform's feel and what kind of videos get.
Absolutely. And it reinforces YouTube's position as a major media player. Even Netflix apparently sees them as a huge competitor now.
So digging down, what's the core fear driving this Disney lock?
Well, the Clownfish analysis suggests it really comes down to secrets.
Connelly spilling the beans, sharing Disney's strategic plans with a direct competitor.
That seems to be the heart of it. And given his high-level role, especially leading those YouTube negotiations.
Yeah, you can see why they'd be nervous. Makes total sense.
But then there's that other layer of irony the video brought up.
Which was?
The suggestion that maybe Disney hasn't always been purely original itself, that it might have borrowed ideas from YouTube in the past.
Oh, right. They mentioned Cocomelon.
Yeah, that hugely popular kids show. Apparently, the creators had some past links or work related to Disney. The implication being, who's really taking from whom here?
It's complicated, but it definitely highlights this fundamental power shift.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube starting as this, this Wild West of home videos.
Yeah.
And now it's a direct rival in streaming, in live sports. Someone even joked, maybe theme parks next.
Well, maybe not theme parks just yet.
Probably not. But it speaks volumes about their ambition and scale now.
It really does. So this deep dive, it really brings it all into focus, doesn't it?
Yeah. You've got this legacy media giant, Disney, feeling genuinely threatened
by the sheer power and reach of a digital platform, YouTube.
And the reaction isn't collaboration. It's lawyers. A big fight over talent.
Which could have massive ripple effects.
For sure. It could change the whole streaming competition landscape again.
Mm-hmm. Influence what kind of content gets promoted or made.
And it definitely raises big questions about how these old media companies and new digital platforms are going to coexist or compete going forward.
Which kind of brings us to the final thought, maybe for you listening.
Yeah.
How might this whole tug of war, this evolving relationship between, say, Disney and YouTube, how might that actually shape the videos you end up watching?
Right. And what doors does it open or close for creators trying to reach an audience?
Exactly. What does this whole fight for talent, executive talent in this case, what does it really signal about where entertainment is heading?
And ultimately, who holds the power in this shifting landscape?
Definitely something to chew on.